Hello, and welcome to Library Resources for Marketing Decision-Making Projects. Today, we're going to look at 5 databases that could help you with your projects: Tourism Research Australia, WARC, Marketline Advantage, Statista, and Factiva. In particular, we will be examining this from the perspective of looking at COVID-19 and how it will affect tourism and the travel insurance market. First, let's find these databases. Choose Databases on the homepage underneath the search field. You will be taken to the Find Databases tool. Expand Business in the left-hand toolbar, and you will see that we have a range of subcategories of business. Of particular importance to us is company and industry, leisure, sport and tourism, management, and marketing. You can either browse these categories or search for a particular database in the search field above. Let's start by looking at Tourism Research Australia. Tourism Research Australia is a somewhat unusual database, offering statistics on Australian tourism. However, you won't be able to simply search. Instead, you'll need to build your statistics by assigning one set of fields to the rows and the other to the columns. Let's show you an example. In this example, we'll create a new table using the domestic databases, looking at domestic demographics. We want to see if household income correlates with the amount of travel being taken. So, from demographics, we will choose income. You can choose individual categories of income or anything else, but you can also choose to select all elements within a category. We'll assign this information to the rows. Next, we'll look up the number of outbound trips and we'll add that to the columns. Once this is done, we can click Retrieve Data and we will be able to assemble our table. We could, if we so wish, download this table to Excel, or we can use the Graph View function in order to create a graph of our findings. Let's now take a look at WARC. WARC stands for World Advertising Resource Centre and is best known for its case studies. These case studies look at marketing and advertising campaigns and what they were able to achieve. Let's take a look. Choose Case Studies and then use the Case Finder. This will give you access to a really helpful tool that gives you a lot of control over your search. This tool gives you a lot of filters. You can look at market categories such as finance or leisure, sport and tourism. You can choose the location, and many of these options have subcategories. So for example, if you look under location, you'll see the Asia Pacific, but you can limit that down to Australia. You can also choose to filter by a keyword. Now, as with any search, give it a few tries. I, for example, started with the word hesitancy, hoping to find how people will react after COVID-19, and it showed up nothing. But if I used fear, that found a few responses. Keep your eye on the matching cases number to know how many results you're going to pull back. Once you've found the case that you think looks like the one you're interested in, simply click on the title in order to view the case study. But that's not all that WARC can do. In addition to the case studies, it has a variety of analysis, strategy, and data available to you in the subject of advertising. One of the particular items that I found interesting under research were the current drivers of change document, which takes a look at what is going to drive change in the marketplace in 2021, which one would imagine includes COVID-19. Finally, you can also do a simple broad search for COVID-19, which does indeed pull up some pretty interesting research, analysis, and news. Let's now take a look at Marketline. This is a company and industry information database. We can use it to try and take a look at travel insurance. We'll start by selecting sectors and then choose financial services. The left-hand toolbar has many different filters. One of the most useful is that we can limit by geography, for example, limiting ourselves to Australia. This brings us to their industry profile for Australia non-life insurance. Note that this was updated in November 2020 and therefore does include discussion of COVID-19. Let's now take a look at Statista. Statista, as its name implies, is a database of statistics, and it can be a great resource for finding information about consumers. For example, let's put in travel insurance as a search term. This gives us the ability to find statistics on insurance. We can limit it to Australia. As we can see, we have here statistics for what kind of travel insurance people buy. Note that any of these statistics can be downloaded as PDFs or PowerPoint slides, perfect for presentations. Finally, let's take a look at Factiva. Now, while Factiva is mostly a newspaper database, it does have a companies and markets section, which can be very useful. So we're going to take a look at industry. This gives us the ability to browse through industries, and we can in fact scroll down until we find insurance. This brings up its profile page for the insurance industry. What's really helpful about this is that all of these elements are clickable. So if you wanted to know about a particular insurance company, you could click on the company that you're interested in and it will search newspapers and other publications for that particular company. Let's go back to the search page, and this time we'll do a simple search in the newspapers themselves. Let's search for the exact phrase travel insurance, as well as the words COVID-19. Right now, the date is set to just in the last day. Let's make it the last year. This actually gets us a lot of results, which is terrific. If you do find that you're getting back too many results, don't forget that you can limit your results using the left-hand toolbar. For example, we could limit these searches to only look at Australian results. You can read any result that you're interested in simply by clicking on the title. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget that you can always ask us for more help by choosing Contact Us under the Get Help link on the library homepage.